Make me feel it. Make me feel alive again.
There are few series that can boast a lineup of villains as memorable as Metal Gear. These battles push you to use both brains and brawn to overcome foes that can seem supernaturally powerful. Hideo Kojima and his team have concocted some of the most creative boss encounters we've seen, and our own Michael Damiani has selected the best of the best. Once again, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance was not included for consideration. In Mr. Damiani's opinion, the likes of Senator Armstrong, Monsoon, and Blade Wolf are simply on another level. Even so, picking only 5 battles from the core Metal Gear games and its great cast of foes was a tough choice. Hard choices were made, and even great fights like Gray Fox wound up in the cutting room floor. Without further ado, have at you, Snake.
It's been a long time since I had such a good fight, but I'm just getting warmed up.
Let's face it, whenever you play a new Metal Gear game, you wonder what crazy mechanical beast awaits you at the end of it. We've seen quite a few over the course of the series, but the two that left the biggest impression were Metal Gear Rex and Metal Gear Ray. So when you reach the end of the nostalgic chapter in Guns of the Patriots that sends Snake back to Shadow Moses, there's nothing more fitting than a showdown between the two behemoths. Not only do we finally get behind the controls of the Metal Gear, but the battle is also a subtle tribute to another one of Kojima's series, Zone of the Enders. It's just one of the many great bits of fan service delivered in Snake's final mission.
Get ready!
The battle that punctuates the birth of the man known as Big Boss is also one of the most emotional and memorable sequences in the series. After learning the truth behind his mentor's actions, it was up to Snake to make a tough choice between the mission or his comrade. Set against a beautiful backdrop of Easter lilies, your CQC skills are put to the ultimate test against the person who practically invented the fighting technique. And in the end, you're left towering over your vanquished foe with a gun pointed at her head in a masterful shot which gives you no indication of what to do next. Because there's only one thing left to do.
Who's that?
While nearly all of the boss encounters in Metal Gear require a degree of puzzle solving, few are as clever and intense as the showdown with the end. It's a sniper duel with one of the most unlikely looking opponents, where an old man puts you on the edge with his masterful ability to blend into his surroundings and punish you for the slightest of mistakes. What's even better are the multiple ways to take down your foe. If you tinker with your system's internal clock to set it ahead by a week, the end simply dies of old age. Or you can simply take him out in an earlier part of the game when he's carted off in his wheelchair. Of course, if you don't want an easy way out, you can attempt to defeat him with skill alone.
Spirits of the forest, I thank you. The boss would be proud of you.
Just when it seems like Old Snake has finally completed his mission, a familiar face appears for one final battle. The duel between Liquid Ocelot and Old Snake is not only a tribute to the final encounter atop Rex from Metal Gear Solid, it blissfully recounts the evolution of Revolver Ocelot throughout the series. Combat is close and personal. There are no guns or weapons here other than your fists. Fighting against the personas of Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid, Sons of Liberty, Snake Eater, and finally Guns of the Patriots is an emotional conclusion that's further heightened by the music selection from each time period and the transitional animation of Ocelot himself mixed with brief flashbacks. It's a fitting end for one of the best characters in the series.
You're pretty good.
You're pretty good. Pretty good.
Who's that?
Through the early portions of Metal Gear Solid, Snake's mission seemed like a fairly normal stealth game. Then any notion of typical goes out the window during the fight with Psycho Mantis, the first encounter in the game that you can't simply overcome with weapons or strength alone. After a brief demonstration of his psychic powers, the battle begins. Only all of your attacks are completely useless against an adversary who seems to be predicting your every move. He taunts you for trying, adding to your frustration of being completely ineffectual. The key requires a different kind of thinking, plugging the controller into a different port on your console. It's a solution with multiple layers, a programming joke, a function usually reserved for multiplayer, and the first of Kojima's many trolls. After encountering something so completely unexpected, you can only be left in awe of such a clever ruse. Not to mention, the theme heard in the Twin Snakes version is so excellent that it almost made the cut of our top 5 Metal Gear songs.
Put your controller on the floor.